Today we're going to be talking to Eric Keosky-Smith, the Chief Growth Officer of Hownd. Eric, how are you?
I'm doing great. A little raspy voiced. It's been a busy day here, but otherwise doing great. How about yourself?
I'm good. I'm literally in that same boat with the raspy voice thing, running from meeting to meeting. I feel like it's been, and everyone needs you to talk. So I'm glad that we're having a more casual conversation now.
Me too. I really appreciate the welcoming myself and my company into this, and looking forward to hopefully providing a little bit of insight.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just kind of go over what is Hownd.
Well, Hound is a foot traffic generation platform for brick and mortar merchants in three industries. So brick and mortar, hopefully that's clear, in the industries of kind of experience and attractions, food and beverage, and health and beauty. And to remember all that, we say fit, fun, yum, and zen. So we basically drive paying customers into businesses who've got physical buildings and experiential type businesses.
Yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I heard of Hound about a year ago, and then I kept hearing about it, and it was there was like this point where people started talking about it, and they never really stopped talking about it. So when was Hound kind of founded, and when did you guys really just like launch to the market?
Well, it's a little more complex than us just getting founded. We, in fact, started as a company called FetchRev. We were fetching revenue for B2B in a B2B place. So we focus entirely as a SaaS company on bringing existing customers back in the door in the attractions and family entertainment center space. Roller rinks to bowling alleys to amusement parks. Three things happened during that course. Four. We got about 40% market share from zero. So I give huge credit to the team and our CEO, who went to 30 or 40 events a year, really worked hard and delivered real value. In spite of the fact we were delivering real value, all of our customers said they wanted three more things. One, you're a SaaS company, but we really don't want to learn more software. And two, you're a SaaS company, we really don't want to pay you monthly. And three, while we love the fact you're so good at bringing existing customers back in the door, we want new customers too. So with that, we started to rebuild our platform, rebranded ourselves, and it was just October 2019, so just 16 months ago, and relaunched as Hound, which is our B2B brand, and then My Hound, MYHOWND, which is the consumer brand. And a lot of people see us as an app, but we actually have 7 different digital tools that we bring to bear to bring paying consumers in the door of these businesses. And the really great thing about our model is that we're zero risk. We only get paid a small flat fixed fee when a paying customer walks in the door, and we're effortless. We run our software for you. So with that, even during COVID, we doubled the number of businesses who are working on our platform in the last 12 months.
Wow. I mean, that's quite the journey of having a concept, pivoting based on what your clients are saying, rebranding successfully, which is very hard to do.
Yeah.
You'll see companies that go through a rebrand and then it just doesn't stick. I feel like it really is stuck, because when you guys rebranded as Hound, I mean, that aligns right in the point when I had first heard about you. And I think that, you really hit the market strong. Yeah, let's talk about the team that you have kind of behind the scenes.
Well, not so behind the scenes. Our CEO, ironically, he and I have somehow missed each other in the last 8 to 10 years in the Valley. We've been kind of competing in certain areas. I'm, as people probably know in the startup world, pretty prolific in my professional networking and huge social media connections because of some companies I had started. But Brandon Wiley, I tell you, he's a star. It's interesting because he's about at least 10 years younger than me. But and I've not done that before, but really as smart as it can be, extremely articulate. And, quite frankly, he's also a good human being too, which I love. But he's been a driving force behind the concept, as he got so involved with this attractions industry. And he does this thing better than most people do, as he uses these. He really listened to the problems of customers. We also have 2 of the best C-levels I've worked with, our chief technology officer and our chief product officer. Both were fundamental in putting the platform in place that could scale, and then the real nuts and bolts behind the product. Plus, we've been fortunate. We've got a really superstar in the branding side. Devin works for me and is 4 months after we launched Hound, we already did a rebrand and a review of the graphics and the imagery and came up with something far better. So he had just joined the company after we launched. So that we've got about 20 others, including new Australian employees. We just acquired our partner out of Australia called Powered Local.
Wow.
To add a fantastic Wi-Fi component to what we do. So businesses can deliver free Wi-Fi, but also with buy-in, capture good consumer data so we can market better to those consumers in the businesses that they visit.
Wow. I mean, that's a really expansive growth plan and how things have gone. And how many different markets are you in currently?
Well, we're in 4 countries quite actively. The US, of course, Canada, Australia, and Mexico. We've actually just got a 25-unit family entertainment center running. And then the markets we target, it sounds like we're targeting everybody, but we're not. That the attractions and tourism space is a pretty huge business. But and the F&B space, the restaurant space, is pretty huge, and health and beauty. But altogether, they only make up about 30 to 35% of the, if you will, the code base of the U.S. So it's a huge industry. And at the same time, we're focused on those 3. And we deliver really very good results. And we can tweak our model based on the industry and actually down even to the individual business level. They don't have to use all of our components. So we consult with them, we get them up and running, and then we can help them based on experience we've learned in other industries of what works best and what doesn't. Because in the end, we're delivering digital promotions to consumers to get consumers to act. And there's in that whole experiential space, there is a lot of commonality.
Yeah, I mean, it would definitely make sense, especially in this current climate, you see companies looking for ways to get traffic through the door. But was that kind of reflected in new business that you've seen, or was it more helping existing clients that you were having get people in the door? Did you see a big spike in people saying they needed help getting new customers? What did the past 12 months look like for you?
Yeah, well, it's hard to put a single finger on that because the past 12 months, many of the businesses weren't even open.
That's true.
What they wanted first and foremost, and this resonated strongly, they needed help and they needed cash. So part of our other pivot was twofold. Got just a very forthright and strategic thinking economic development director out of the city of Tempe, after a referral from the Tempe Chamber, who really stepped up and presented our case, asked us if they would be allowed to sponsor us so we could sell our software to all other businesses. That small flat fixed fee we charge is the only friction. That and do nothing are the only answers we sometimes get no on. And so they put some tax money into our account to help us deliver better returns on that tax money by getting consumers and businesses to join together and help on the economic development recovery from COVID. In doing so, we've delivered not just in Tempe, but nationwide. We've modeled that, and many other cities came on board: Tucson and Mesa and Gilbert and Queen Creek, really in about half the cities in the state of Arizona. And then in Florida and Texas and in Kansas, we have cities. But we've delivered well over $9 million of consumer cash directly into the hands of businesses. And when they needed it most, when many of them were closed looking to reopen, which is kind of the valley of death because their expenses go up dramatically when revenue is not going to increase as dramatically, especially with 50% capacity. So, we're one of many tools being used. We're not a savior for anybody, but there are definitely some businesses out there, hundreds, who benefited greatly by our ability to tell a good message to the consumer, get some money directly into their hands. And if a consumer buys a gift certificate, it doesn't go into our account, it goes directly into the business's account. And it became a godsend for many of them. So it's been interesting. Now, as they're opening, their question to us is, 1, where have you been all my life? 2, is this too good to be true? And it's not. They don't even have to sign agreements with us. They just have to agree to terms and conditions. And 3, what I want most now is getting my existing customers who I haven't seen in a year, as well as new customers back in the door. I think the extraordinary thing about timing right now, and I'm kind of going off on a tangent here, but consumer habits have absolutely changed 1,000%, no question. Part of that is we sat at home. Many of us saved money. I stopped remembering which were my favorite restaurants at some point. And if you know me, I go out to restaurants a fair amount. Um, this is an extraordinary time for people to get new market share, new customers, help create new habits. And we happen to be the tool that does it for them without them having to really lift a finger to help us help them. So we're in a really interesting spot right now.
I mean, I think you're absolutely right with new habits. I had restaurants that were always my favorite ones to go to, and now I'm referring to my favorite restaurants as things that I order on DoorDash a lot, and there may have been ones that I've never actually been to. And now that I'm re-entering, I'm like, maybe I should try the Pink Flamingo. Like maybe I should actually go into the restaurant.
Well, the
And
challenge with that DoorDash order, while it was convenient for you, um, it is their entire margin going out the door. They did that to survive. And, the entrepreneurship I've seen, and I've been in the business for 30 something years, hate to say how long, it is the most impressive amount of mom and pop shop entrepreneurship I've ever seen is in the health and beauty space and nail salons and restaurants in particular, and family entertainment centers. What they did to keep doors open, to keep employees paid, and to pay rent has been extraordinary. And it's a lot of it's below the radar, I think, unless you're paying close attention like we are. But it has been an extraordinary explosion of entrepreneurship around the world. But right now, it's time then for their hard work to pay off, and hopefully we can help them a little bit along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the things that you had touched on earlier that really resonated with me is economic development initiatives surrounding getting things back to normal. I mean, there's a huge opportunity for that, for even, development groups that are trying to almost rebrand their city or their location to get traction, and being able to just point out the incredible resources that might be available to people who may have overlooked it previously.
That is an absolutely excellent point. We have another local city who's been just unbelievably supportive of us. They're going to step up in the next few weeks with us on a very big local tourism push.
Wow.
Because they can. They have tools. They now have resources. I think the last round of money coming into the cities was in dire need. They're going to be putting it towards getting people who maybe don't visit their city much, let alone their venues, and create a local tourism campaign. I got to say, the economic development directors around the country are probably some of the unsung heroes of COVID. There have been people working tirelessly to help and do everything they can to keep the local tax base, quite frankly, up and running. Even if they had to shut down and mothball for a period of time, they're working so hard to get them back open. So we become a point product with a lot of them because we're visible. We also can show a direct ROI. If they put $1 into it, they'll get 10 to 12 consumer dollars back in that business without the city having to take the risk and without the city having to do much work. So it's been a very interesting partnership for us. And I really wasn't aware until COVID that the economic development departments, the impact they can have, and it's pretty extraordinary. And they're good people too. And I love working with them.
Yeah, I mean, that's something, there's so many different marketing companies that are pushing these initiatives, but the way that your business works, the way that it's going to align with that is just this beautiful synergy that probably wouldn't have come about for another few years.
You're correct. And, the one thing there's many things we can say about entrepreneurs, but be aware when you're getting lucky and take advantage of it if it works. I think myself and the CEO and my VP of field marketing, Larry Fleischman, who's been absolutely brilliant at this. We listened, we acted quickly, and then we served them as if they were customers. They really aren't paying us money. They're just prepaying us for the fees that we ultimately get from the business. But to actually pull them all together, treat them as true partners and customers, has been an extraordinary learning experience. But 12 months ago, I had no clue it was going to happen. It was 12 months ago on St. Paddy's Day that I got the first phone call, and I got to give City of Tempe credit and City of Tucson. They moved within weeks to actually get contracts signed and get moving and helping get money into the hands of businesses. So it's really been heartening to see the kind of people. Normally we bash government, but not in the economic development world. I don't. They move mountains.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, one of the things that's really kind of a reoccurring theme is when they put money into Hound, they get money back, and it can be proven. I mean, there has to be so much analytics and data that's going into how that's being tracked. And I mean, so much has to go into that.
Well, that's what we built, a pretty scalable platform. It still has a lot of growth to do, but they built it from the beginning knowing that it has to be effortless for the merchant first and foremost.
Mm-hmm.
And to do so, you then have to have a strategy and a structure built to do so. And we've got a great CTO, and our development team is phenomenal. There's still a lot of work to do. There's a lot of integrations people want to make it even more seamless, but we're heading in the right path. But yeah, it's by default, we got a little lucky, and then we acted on it. And our mission is to help 1 million businesses. What a great way for us to lean into that. And COVID, ironically, really solidified that mission with the employee base. We started working 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., 6 days a week, all from home, and was in a moment's notice that happened. And I think it's because we had such a strong mission. And in fact, we're really becoming a conscious capitalism company, and that has helped us through this so much. And I just wish we could, all the businesses out there who are still struggling and feeling the pain. Some of them have great missions. Some of them are just trying to, keep the doors open. I can tell you it's a lot better to be in this situation when you have a clear mission and the entire team is on board.
Yeah. In regards to, the mission and the passion that you seem to have sparked in everyone, what sparked your passion for Hound?
It's funny. The CEO, he had the chief revenue officer had left kind of unexpectedly. I had worked with him at another company. So he found me on LinkedIn the next morning. And what sparked my passion first and foremost was he was reading to me over the phone the mission I thought I had created 10 years ago with a startup I did called Diner's Passport. It was not a successful startup, except it taught me a ton. And when he started to talk about effortless and the fact that restaurants only pay him when we deliver consumers, it was kind of like love at first conversation. So, to have somebody else who's kind of in your head and has that similar, very merchant-centric approach of trying to help, but also to do it in industries I love. I mean, the experiential industries. But then when we really got into it and the 60-hour, 70-hour week started, it does come down to that mission. I do have a belief in capitalism. I do have a belief in entrepreneurship. I also am more of a global thinker. So it's not just in the US that this works. And that mission and us leaning in and watching it happen today it's only thousands of businesses, but we'll be getting to tens of thousands shortly, and watching the money flow into their bank accounts, that changed everything. So really the passion that comes from me comes from every employee here. And it's because we know we're doing the right thing. When people talk to us and they hear, your digital promotions are like Groupons, like, nope, we're the antithesis of Groupon. We actually treat our merchants better than we treat ourselves. We get them their money they need right away. We don't have them destroy their brand by doing 50% discounts and stuff like that. And the merchants, when they hear this, they know we're on a mission of good, and we're on a mission to help them. And we designed our entire business model to do just that. So that keeps us going. Absolutely.
Wow. I mean, that's a really impressive journey from love at first phone call to somehow getting talked into working 70 plus hours a week. It's the total passion and, blood, sweat, and tears.
Well, and it's starting to show. If I'm on Zoom, my hair's all gray. If I'm using this. No, it's been tough, and we're not perfect. We definitely made some mistakes along the way, many of them. We also did lose some employees. We had to do a round or two of reduction. We've had a couple of people leave on their own, and there's been some pain in that. The flip side is everybody who's at the company, we're full of A players, people who are totally committed. And it shows. I just got off a call with a company in Chicago just an hour and a half ago, and 30 minutes we're into it with the owner of a company with many locations, and he could see it. And so we'll have one more call next week, and we'll get started with them right away. So it also helps us that our focus and our passion, ironically, also speeds up the sales pretty quickly. So with our business model, we have to be pretty efficient in the way we sell. It seems to be working.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to know kind of what that customer journey looks like. So the person that you're talking to, let's say they say like, yes, let's move forward. What does the next step in the path look like for that person?
It's pretty straightforward. We have a team. We don't do onboarding. We do engagement. Because the rock stars in the company are the people who see 10,000 promotions a week go out the door. So they consult, listen, advise on the kind of approach you should take using the Hound platform. We get the parameters of the kind of promotions they're willing to do. A lot of times we try and get them to do value-added promotions versus discounts. And then we set the system up, and it's usually 2 phone calls, sometimes 3. So they get free consulting during the month, but we can have a business up and running if they're really motivated in just a couple of days with the right people on the phone. If they're normal, it's a 2 to 3 week process. And then after that, most of them just check in once a week for 5 minutes. They log in. If they have problems, they give us a holler. But they just look at the parameters of what we're running for them. And their journey really is about them getting more consumers in the door and how they treat those consumers. Wow. So it's a strangely simple process when you build on their side. We do a lot of work behind the scenes, but an effortless system is designed to not force them to be deeply embedded in our software or our processes. They should be focusing on job one, which is the customer walking in the door, giving them the best possible service.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that you touched on value-added offers versus straight discount offers. What kind of went into that decision and that strategy? Because obviously it's very different than a lot of the things that consumers are used to seeing.
Well, myself and our CEO and our chief product officer all got strong branding backgrounds. Mm-hmm. You talk. We have a business coming on right now, Zinc Bistro, great French restaurant up in Kierland area. His first comment is, "I don't do discounts." Of course you don't. Why would you discount a brand that's so powerful? Instead, though, if you offer a gift card for $100 with an extra $20 bonus, that's a nice way to reward your customer to come in the door. And there's some other good things about those bonus cards. Mm-hmm. Or the gentleman we just spoke with, who runs a really very cool hamburger chain, he's got amazing milkshakes. He says, "I will give away a milkshake if you come in and try my meals, and I'll let you test a milkshake for free." That's a very different model than, "Oh, I'm going to give you a 50% discount," which, by the way, you probably won't show up again without a similar discount.
Yeah.
So I don't want to mention the G word again, but they built that business for themselves, not for the merchants. They use the merchants as a vehicle, not as and they became a source of single-use supply. So a consumer would come, use it, and probably leave and rarely come back. We're trying to create a model that's far more sustainable and more beneficial for the merchant. It's harder the way we're doing it, but we think the consumers are getting it. Shop here, shop at this local company, help them stay alive and keep their doors open. And yeah, you might not get a 50% discount, but by the way, you're going to go back 2, 3, or 4 times. And because you're on their list, you're going to see a lot of promotions come through that are available to you.
Do you have kind of a standard set of promotions? I know that you said you'll take learnings from one industry to another, kind of pair those up. What if someone came in and was like, "We're a mom and pop business. We've never really done this before. What should we offer?"
Well, the irony, I keep you coming back to gift cards. We're shocked at how many people, even big companies who have the word gift cards on their website, didn't do them well. Part of our secret sauce is we can sell a promotion to a consumer on a phone or on a desktop in 30 seconds. I mean, that's 30 seconds max of consumer time. Try go to a gift card at some of these older school companies, and you're going to say, "Okay, I'm 7 clicks in. Now they want me to open an account." We've eliminated all that friction. So that alone is a great start for them. Sell if you're a mom and pop Mexican restaurant, sell a $20 gift card with a $5 bonus. Mm-hmm. You've now made a friend twice, because they're going to come in and use both of them, not at the same time. Or do like the gentleman with the hamburger chain. Add something of interest or value that maybe I haven't had before. They just added wings to their menu. So come in and buy a whole family meal and get an extra side of wings to taste. Because guess what? Those wings might bring you back in the future when it's not hamburger night. So we try and coach them in those spaces. I think, and also surprising promotions. My Diner's Passport idea started as Monday, Tuesday Club until Francine Hardaway, who's well known in the Valley, says, "Don't just do it for Monday and Tuesday." But the thing about Mondays and Tuesdays is that's when most merchants are slower. Do a promotion focused just on the Monday and Tuesday. And our terms and conditions are real easy for them to change. They just log on. It takes them a minute or two. Promotion's up and running. And they can then start to keep their employees better employed, keep the kitchen more full, or keep the masseuse tables more full, not just for the consumer, but for the employee as well. So we try and do win-wins like that. And as I said, they're There'll be some where they don't work so well. The good news is it didn't cost them a penny to try. It just didn't work well. So we just don't do that promotion again.
Yeah. I mean, you're saying these things, and there's one restaurant that I'm thinking of. I'm like, oh my gosh, Tuesday night spaghetti and meatballs at Babo's. That makes so much sense now.
Yep. Yep.
And, putting those connectors together and providing those resources at the same time, building up the Hound brand, because people are probably spreading word of mouth because, one person's like, hey, I use this really worked for me, proven model. So how do you see a lot of your clients coming in? I mean, is it word of mouth? Is it people Google searches? I mean, how do you acquire a new client?
Well, great question. And there's a couple of different ways. First and foremost, we've got people on the phone. We've got people doing face-to-face visits. We do one of the huge benefits that we didn't expect out of the work we did with the cities and municipalities. When I say municipalities, because it's usually a city, a tourism office, a chamber. In Tempe, we also had the East Valley Hispanic Chamber of Commerce involved. We had downtown tourism involved. Mm-hmm. They create a ton of earned media with us because it's in their best interest to help us get the merchants on board. Mm-hmm. And then once the merchants start to come on board, our channels include the merchant's own website. I use merchant because it's, it could be a restaurant, it could be a nail salon, it could be a family entertainment center like Jake's in Mesa. But we use their website, we use their social media, we use the city to promote our promotion portals where you can go and just click on a link and find all the different restaurants, for example, and again, in 30 seconds, buy something or get a coupon. So that has generated for us a tremendous amount of publicity. And then once a consumer purchases something, using that email, it's automatically downloaded into the app that they're asked to download. So it becomes a very seamless experience. To be honest with you, we haven't spent a penny marketing to consumers yet. It's all been marketing to merchants. Yeah, it's an interesting organic model. We're going to start soon. Month of April is get that up and running. We do have 40 million consumers who've opted into our database because they've used our system at least once. We're extremely careful about the use of that. We also will not and don't sell consumer lists anywhere. To talk to them, you have to go through us. But the organic side of that's actually been growing at a very interesting pace because we've landed a couple of deals where they're highly encouraged to use our app on a frequent basis. So,
wow. I mean, that is super impressive, especially like where you're allocating money and then where you're actually seeing the returns on the other side of that. I mean, it's very impressive.
Well, we're zigzagging. We're salmon swimming upstream, and as I said, those are the good sides, and the other sides are we did come out of the gate with a SaaS model, and fortunately, in January, we made a choice 3 months into it to change our brand, and COVID hit. So we got a little lucky on the timing on that. Otherwise, we would have. I'm not sure as a company selling foot traffic to brick and mortar merchants with a SaaS model, I'm not sure we would have made it through 2021 or to 2021. So you take your luck, you also take your beatings, and you learn. We're a pretty listening organization, so that helps a lot. And that's probably, I know one of the things we chatted about earlier was advice for entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. Now more than ever is the most important time. I can get very chatty and passionate about what I do, but when we're really in talking to our merchants, this is the most important thing you can use. Listen to what they're really telling you. They will give you the answers you need.
Yeah, I mean, usually half the battle is just listening. And on the note of listening, I mean, I'd love to just hear a little bit about, the point of maybe when you guys thought it wasn't going to work. I mean, every startup kind of has that moment where they're like, I don't know if this is going to happen. I don't know if this is going to work. Was there ever a point where you guys maybe thought about, stepping back or rebranding for a third time?
Well, collectively as a company, we haven't had that. Individually, I'd be lying if I didn't say there were moments in some Saturday mornings where I'm thinking, what am I doing? But because I've got literally a team I love working with. I mean, it's one of the first times I've been able to say I love the people I work with. And then having that mission, you just said, you know what, but I'm still going to lean in. This is the time to lean in, not to walk away. We really haven't had that collectively as a company. In fact, the acquisition of our partner out of Australia even says that we believe even more. I mean, we gave up equity to acquire them, but they're combined, their tool, which is a free Wi-Fi service, allows a business to offer a free Wi-Fi service safely while also monetizing it and collecting appropriate data. That really has fueled our fire. So even during the worst parts of COVID, we were working on a deal to help us grow and help them grow even faster. So,
Wow.
that's unfortunately, it's not the same for everybody out there. There are times where you do have to just, I've closed shop twice. It was some of the hardest things I've ever done is walk away from my own startups. We haven't had that feeling here at all.
I love that. I mean, that's even in the time of finding the opportunity and zigzagging. I mean, the ability to maintain agile in a company, even at a point where there's, growth and a lot going on, is just invaluable.
Yeah. And COVID was a horrible thing, but also an interesting test. And I can honestly say many of us, I certainly can speak for myself, came out a far better business person and a far better human being in the last 12 months. That's also helped a ton too, having purpose.
And I got to ask, this is kind of a silly last question, but I've been thinking about it the entire time we've been talking. Let's talk about your logo, your brand name, and the dog behind you in the picture.
So our original name of FetchRev was also a black Labrador as our shadow logo. And this was, I had nothing to do with the new naming and branding. I want to say up front, so I can't take credit. The company can. So they wanted to keep that dog thing going, and then Hound and that slight misspelling made it kind of fun. Then we have this happy dog. And even when we launched, we thought, okay, this is working, but it's still not a great, we had to add the My Hound for the consumer side of it. And the dog was prevalent in the consumer side. We actually pulled back quite a bit on the B2B side because it didn't make us look serious enough. So we've got, but there's, if you look at our website, there's still that lighthearted kind of poking fun at ourselves, and really, I think, really great copy. And again, Devin Hansen, our brand director, 2 months into the job, said, "Hey, I know we just launched, but I think we can do better." So I have to give him a ton of credit for coming forward and creating a more fanciful yet business-worthy logo, attitude, and copy out of a company called Hound. So your Hound, my Hound, should be out sniffing out the best possible deals for you and the best locations. And our vision, we've only just started. The vision on this is that you're going to have more and more curated deals and promotions of multiple experiences that are going to be pulled together just for you personally. That's why we are going to be learning a lot about the consumers we work with. I want to stress again, we're big on the privacy side. All the GDPR and California and Canadian, Brazilian and Mexican laws and Australian laws, we're big advocates of those. But the more we can learn about you, Miranda, specifically, the more we're going to learn that Tuesday nights, not only is there a great place to go get spaghetti and meatballs, but ahead of time, there might be that happy hour down the street. And afterwards, maybe you go work it off at the putt-putt golf down the course, because we know those are the kind of promotions and things that you want to do. Now, imagine getting all that in one simple click. It's all just there in an app magically for you to go do. So that's where we're headed.
I love it. I'm always looking for new ideas.
Well, hence the My Hound. And we're going to do this on scale, yet at a very micro level over time.
Well,
Go ahead.
I'd say I think it's amazing. And, I'd love for you to just point our listeners in the direction on how they can learn more about Hound, how they can, learn about the deals that are going on. What can we do to learn more about you?
All right. Well, thank you for that. So first off, My Hound, MYHOWND, that'll get you to an app. Please do download it, no cost. The other thing is, if you go to hound.com, we have a variety of if you're a merchant, to sign up. It's a pretty simple process, or send us an email or a phone call. We'll get on and get you on board. And then we'll point you to all the promotion portals: City of Tucson, Tempe, Mesa, Gilbert, Queen Creek, Talking Stick Resort, all have these promotion portals showing all the different hundreds and hundreds of businesses that are running promotions on. So give it a try. And there's a coupon. There's no risk to take it. Or support your local business, buy a gift card, or get a buy now offer. So we've got some exciting new things coming in that space as well. So there'll be a lot of interesting, tasty refreshments coming up shortly with some new programs we have running.
Well, I am definitely downloading that app. I have a 4-year-old, and I'm always looking for things to take him to do to burn off some of that energy. And I think it's going to be a really great thing. So thank you so much for your time. And I just cannot wait to see what my hound can do for me.
Thanks for having me on. And if anybody wants to reach out to me directly, my email is eric@hownd.com. Feel free to shoot me a note and just put something in the subject line that you heard on the podcast so I can give them credit.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Great to meet you. Take care, Miranda.